Hi folks, Mr. Ackman here. Thanks for watching. In this video, I want to talk to you about something that is super important in photography, and that is the concept of clarity or sharpness in a photo. It's such an important concept that you could argue that it's the first thing that you should begin with, although you know at this point in the course we began by looking at light because it's actually more important. Without light, you can't have a photo in the first place. But arguably, this is one of the most important things that comes next. And it's because if your photos are clear and sharp, they will have a lot of detail, and it'll further help you to convey the message that you want to your viewers. So to help you understand why I decided to do this video at this time, I want you to look behind me. You're going to see this photo, which is up on the wall in my house here. And it's a photo of Paris. I think you can see the Eiffel Tower there. It's taken from up on a hill in the tower of a church called Sacré-Cœur. And it's a really memorable moment in my life. It was a couple years ago. I was there just with my wife. Kids were off with my in-laws, her parents. And so we just had some time together and we had gone sightseeing. A storm came in, the sky got all kind of dark and menacing, as you can see with the clouds there. And as the storm cleared, the light that poked through the clouds revealed some interesting features of the city. And so I started taking pictures, as I usually do. Now, I didn't have my tripod with me, which is something I normally have if I'm doing cityscapes or landscapes. Tripods help to stabilize the camera. So that's rule number one. You need the camera to be really stable. Now, I know most of you don't have a fancy, heavy, expensive, big camera. You're probably just using your phone. But just the idea of holding the phone and bracing yourself, putting your arms against your body like this, taking a deep breath, letting it out a bit, and holding it when you push the button can make a big difference between a photo that is not clear and one that is clear. Another thing that you can do is to focus in the area where you want maximum clarity. And on a fancy camera, you turn the focus knob on the lens, but on a phone, I think most of you know, you tap on the screen in the area that you want to be in focus. And if you tap and hold it, you can lock focus on many phones. Then you can go ahead and shoot and be pretty sure you're going to get the part you want in focus. There are other things you can do. I talked about the light a moment ago. If you shoot in good light, by good I mean sufficient light, you'll find that the click on the camera is fast enough that there's very little movement or chance to move just by shaking or breathing or even moving your finger to push the button. So that's an important thing, to shoot in good light. There are other things that you can do as well. You might turn on the timer so that when you push the button to start the timer counting down, you can now give yourself 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds to concentrate, hold still, and not have to be pushing anything at the moment the photo is taken. There's other things you can do as well, and we'll talk about them in class. But what I want you to do right now is just take a look at the image. I'm going to put it up on my screen, and I want to show you the crazy amount of detail that I achieved that day. So here goes. I'm going to go into Lightroom, and you can see the image here. Now this is the full image. So what I'm going to do is zoom in. First, we're going to zoom in on the immediate foreground, which is this tower, this other tower of the church. And look at that. You can almost imagine running your hand over the stone here. You would know the kind of roughness that it has, and you'd be able to feel these grooves, which, by the way, are made more, they're given more emphasis because of the way the light is coming across them. So there's that concept that light is important. Look at how sharp that is. Now let's go a little bit further into the midground. Look at the buildings here. You can make out the pipes and the fasteners that are holding the pipes to the side of the wall there. You can make out railings, tiles on roofs. If there was a person at a window, you would probably be able to see him or her. If the person was holding a newspaper or reading or holding a cup of coffee, you might even make that out as well. Going further into the midground and then eventually into the background, even the Eiffel Tower, you can make out individual bits of its of the rods and all the beams that make it up and make up the structure. So this is a really, really clear photo. And like I said, I didn't have my tripod, so I had to do it by applying other techniques I know of to stabilize the camera. So having said that, here's what I'd like you to do. I'm going to jump into G-class here for a moment. and we're going to click on shooting assignment number 4, clarity. We already know what the goal is. We're going to be learning how to take really sharp, clear photos, and all you need is your camera plus a subject. So it could be something small or it could be something large. I'm going to show you what I did a moment ago with something else that's important to me, not just my trip to Paris, but this watch that I'm wearing here. This was my grandfather's watch, and when he died, it became mine, and I love it. I love the detail in it. So what I did was I took some photos of it that were deliberately blurry, not very sharp, and also one that was very sharp to show you the comparison. So the first step here is to open that photo, which is a JPEG right at the bottom here. So let's open that up, and you're going to see there's 3 photos. The first one is very blurry. The second one is also very blurry, but the third one is sharp. You can see the writing, you can see the hands, you can see the texture and the grain in the leather. I put it against an old tree stump just because I thought it might make an interesting natural background. You can even make out details there. I want you to think about what I did wrong in the first 2 photos that caused them to lack clarity or be blurry, and what was it that I did in the last photo to make it so sharp, all right? So anyway, moving along, we're going to go to step 3, because we just did step 2, identifying the reasons for clarity or lack of clarity. So step 3, we would normally be talking about this in class, but if you're not with us in class, then you're going to be thinking of these things on your own and maybe sharing some ideas by messaging me or someone else in the class. And now step 4, here's where your job begins. I want you to locate a small or large object. So it could be something like jewelry. It could be something bigger like a car or a building, maybe your house or the apartment building. Go outside and take a series of photos, 10 or more, in which you're going to concentrate on the details. Because when you concentrate on the details, we really get to see if your photo was sharp, because that's when you're really paying attention to this kind of thing. Look for lines, look for shapes, look for texture, whatever catches your eye. Make sure the images are as sharp as possible by applying the things that we already discussed. And then I'd like you to do step 5, complete the Google form, which is attached here. I'm just going to click on this. It's called Clarity in Photography. And you're going to see it asks for your name. It's going to ask you to give a quick definition in your own words of what clarity means when it's applied to photography. And then I'd like you to brainstorm 3 things you can do to ensure your photos have lots of clarity. So think back to what we already discussed. Now, you've already taken 10 really sharp photos. Upload the one you think is sharpest right here. You don't need to rename it. I'll know which photo is yours because the form has your name on it. And then step 4, or question 4, click off any of these boxes that apply. They're going to ask you, what was it that you did that created such great clarity? And finally, number 5, just for fun, do what I did. Purposely make a mistake by taking a photo that lacks clarity. Because one thing I find is the true mark of someone who knows what he or she is doing is not just that you can do a thing, it's more that you can do a thing repeatedly, but also that you know so much about what not to do that if I asked you to make the mistakes, you could replicate those. That's what a teacher has to think about, and so I'd like you to try to be your own sort of teacher here. Don't forget to submit the form by clicking this button, and also don't forget in the Google class assignment, you have to click the Mark as Done button. There is nothing to upload except in this form, so I don't think you're going to see the Turn In button in G-Class. Anyway, that's it for now. I really look forward to seeing some of the great photos that you're going to upload, and I will see you guys in class. Take care and be safe.